What happens when a ruthless alpha king who breaks steel doors is forced into court-ordered therapy? Meet Nikolai Volkov. He runs his empire and his pack with an iron fist. But to save his company, he has to submit to anger management. Enter Dr. Quinn Pellegrino, a woman with a tweed blazer, a murderous pet rabbit, and enough courage to tell a werewolf to take his shoes off. He thinks this is just a business problem. She thinks she's treating a stubborn CEO. But when he smashes her desk and traps her against the wall, the diagnosis changes instantly from anger issues to obsession. Get ready for a clash of wills that ends with a terrifying elevator ride you will never forget. Welcome back to Atlena's Romantasy Collection, the home of your next dark romance obsession. To my loyal pack members, it's great to have you back, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. Before we let the alpha loose, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a chapter. I want to know where my pack is hiding today. Drop a comment below and tell me what country or city you are listening from right now. Now, let's start the session.
Chapter 1. The King's Cage. The conference room at Apex Dynamics smelled like filtered air, stale coffee, and betrayal. I sat at the head of the mahogany table, my hands gripping the leather armrests of my chair. The wood creaked, a high-pitched whine that warned it was about to splinter under my grip. I forced my fingers to relax, one by one. I could feel the familiar burn of the Volkov temper rising in my chest, a hot, clawing sensation that scratched at the back of my throat, demanding release. "Please, Mr. Volkov," Zachary Swan said smoothly, clicking a button on a remote. "Watch the screen." Zachary was my beta. He was also the chief operating officer of my company. He wore a navy suit that was tailored to perfection, and his smile was as sharp and sterile as a scalpel. I had trusted him to run the logistics of the pack, while I handled the heavy lifting, the expansion, the power. Now, he was hunting me. I watched the screen. It was security footage from the lobby 3 days ago. On the 4K display, a man in a courier uniform bumped into me. He spilled a latte on my jacket. In the video, I didn't just brush it off. I grabbed the man by the lapels and slammed him into the marble wall. I roared, a sound that distorted the microphone so badly it screeched. The reinforced glass doors of the lobby cracked from the sheer force of my aura. The board of directors gasped. They were humans. They didn't understand that the courier had been an assassin carrying a silver-laced dagger in his boot. They didn't smell the metallic tang of poison on him. They just saw a CEO losing his mind over a coffee stain. "This is the 4th incident this month," Zachary said, his voice dripping with faux concern. He looked at the shareholders, his expression pained. "The shareholders are terrified, Nikolai. They think you are unstable." "I was protecting the asset," I growled. My voice came out lower than intended, vibrating with the animalistic rumble I was trying to suppress. My slight accent, a relic of the old country that I usually hid well, always became thicker when I was angry. "You broke the receptionist's desk in half," Zachary pointed out, clicking to the next slide. It showed a split oak desk and a terrified intern. "It was in my way." "Nikolai," Zachary sighed, leaning forward on the table. "The board has reached a decision. You are a liability. Your temper is a risk to the stock price. We cannot have a CEO who looks like he's going to murder the janitorial staff." I looked around the table, 12 men and women, all avoiding my eyes. They smelled of fear, sweat, elevated heart rates, the sour scent of adrenaline. They were terrified of me. Good, they should be. I was the Alpha King. I could tear this steel and glass building down with my bare hands if I chose to. "So?" I challenged, leaning back. "You want me to resign? I own 51% of the shares. You cannot oust me." "We can declare you mentally unfit," Zachary smiled. It was a predatory smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. "We have the footage. We have the witness statements. We can force a vote of no confidence and strip you of your executive powers. Unless..." He slid a thick manila file across the polished table. I stared at it. "Unless what?" "Unless you seek professional help," Zachary said. "We have prepared a court order. You will attend intensive anger management therapy. You will complete 20 sessions. You will receive a stamp of approval from a licensed psychologist stating that you are no longer a danger to society." I laughed. It was a dark, humorless sound that made the woman to my left flinch. "Therapy? You want the Alpha King to talk about his feelings? I want the CEO to stop destroying office furniture, Zachary corrected sharply. It is this, or you step down. Effective immediately. I looked at Zachary. I smelled the deceit on him. It smelled like sulfur and jealousy. He wanted me to refuse. He knew my pride. He expected me to flip the table, shift into my wolf form right here, and storm out, proving him right. Then he would take the crown. He would take the company. I took a deep breath, forcing the wolf inside me to heel. Not today, Zachary. I picked up the file. Court order number 4492. Fine, I said, my voice cold as ice. I will go to your doctor. I will sit on their couch. And when I am cleared, Zachary, we will have a very long conversation about loyalty. Zachary's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Excellent, he said, recovering quickly. Your first appointment is in 1 hour. Her name is Dr. Pellegrino.
Chapter 2. The Murder Bunny. Dash, drop it! Drop the internet! That is not food! I dove under the vintage velvet sofa, scrambling across the hardwood floor of my apartment. My target was a 10-pound ball of white fluff, currently murdering my Wi-Fi cable. Dash, my Angora rabbit, looked me dead in the eye. He chomped down. Snap. Great, I groaned, rolling onto my back and staring at the ceiling. Just great. Now how am I supposed to upload my patient notes? By carrier pigeon? Dash thumped his back foot aggressively. Thump. It was a sound like a gunshot in the quiet apartment. It was his way of saying, "You were 5 minutes late with my kale, Quinn. This is your punishment. Suffer." You are a menace to society, I told him, crawling out and dusting lint off my knees. You're lucky you're cute. If you weren't so fluffy, you'd be stew. Dash wiggled his nose dismissively and hopped away to terrorize a slipper. I checked my watch. 8:15 a.m. I was running late. I grabbed my bag, scooped up a handful of organic kale from the fridge, and threw it into Dash's travel carrier. He attacked the greens with the ferocity of an apex predator. I had to bring him to the office today because the landlord was spraying for bugs, and Dash would absolutely bite the exterminator. I ran out the door, lugging the carrier down 3 flights of stairs, and burst out onto the bustling New York street. There she was, my pride and joy, my vintage cherry-red Peugeot 205 Cabriolet. Most people my age drove sensible sedans or leased Teslas. Not me. I liked things with character. I liked things that were a little broken. That was probably why I became a psychologist. Good morning, Bridget. I patted the hood affectionately. Yes, I named my car. I slid into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine sputtered, coughed like a chain smoker, and then roared to life with a smoky protest. That's my girl, I whispered. I tried to put the roof down. It was a rare, sunny day in the city, but the mechanism groaned and stuck halfway, leaving it looking like a broken accordion. Okay, half roof it is, I sighed, putting it back up. I drove through the city traffic, the wind finding its way through the cracks and whipping my messy curls around my face. I pushed my glasses up my nose for the 10th time. I loved this city, but sometimes it felt like it was trying to swallow me whole. I was 28, successful, and owned my own practice, Pellegrino Mines. I was doing great. I didn't need a boyfriend. I didn't need drama. I had my car, my murderous rabbit, and my roommate Jenna, who was currently in her green smoothie cleanse phase, which meant our fridge smelled like wet grass and despair. I pulled up to my office building, a charming brownstone nestled between a Starbucks and a yoga studio. I parked Bridget, carefully so no one would ding her paint. Getting parts for a vintage Peugeot was a nightmare, and ran inside, lugging Dash's carrier. My receptionist, Sadie, was already there, hiding behind her computer screen. She looked pale. "Dr. Pellegrino," she whispered, her eyes wide. "He's here." "Who?" I asked, setting Dash's carrier down behind the front desk. "My 9 a.m. isn't until—" "The court order," Sadie hissed. "The Apex Dynamics guy. He's in the waiting room. He's scary, Quinn. He's pacing. I think he growled at the water cooler, like, actually growled." I rolled my eyes. Corporate types. They were all the same. Entitled, stressed, and convinced the world revolved around their quarterly earnings. They usually calmed down once they realized I wasn't going to buy into their tantrums. He's just a man in a suit, Sadie, I said, grabbing my clipboard. Send him in. And keep an eye on Dash. If he starts thumping, give him a blueberry. Sadie gulped, looking from the carrier to the waiting room door. I think I'm more scared of the rabbit. Valid, I muttered. I straightened my blazer, pushed my glasses up one last time, and opened the door to my office. Mr. Volkov, I called out. The man who stood up in the waiting room blocked out the sun. Chapter 3. Shoes Off. I had seen attractive men before. I lived in New York, I had eyes. But this man was ridiculous. He was at least 6'5". He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my entire student loan debt, tailored to fit shoulders that were impossibly broad. His hair was dark, swept back in a way that looked severe, and his jaw looked like it could cut glass. He had the kind of face you saw on statues of warlords, harsh, beautiful, and unforgiving. But it was his energy that hit me first. It was a physical wave of heat. He radiated irritation like a furnace. He turned to look at me. His eyes were dark, intense, and currently narrowed in a glare that would probably make his employees weep. Dr. Pellegrino, he said. His voice was a deep rumble, wrapped in a faint, crisp Eastern European accent that made my insides do a traitorous little flip. Oh no, I thought. He has the voice! I had a weakness for accents. It was my secret shame. But I pushed that thought down and put on my professional mask. You are late, he stated. I checked the clock on the wall. I am 2 minutes late, Mr. Volkov, and you are early, which means you have been stewing in my waiting room for 15 minutes. That's a lot of time to build up resentment. I stepped aside, gesturing into my office. Please, come in. He walked past me. He smelled like expensive sandalwood, crisp winter air, and pine? It was an woodsy, intoxicating scent